o'clock p.m. This is not a business meeting of the City Commission. This is an opportunity for citizens to bring comments and questions to the Commission.
My name is Bruce D. Oaks, O-C-H-S. People who know BDO. And, you know, I mean, when Dan was mayor, I just don't get why we're buying water from an electric company, but we're not buying electricity from them. And, you know, I got nowhere fast the last time I was at a town hall meeting, so I'll take a different approach on this. I'm not going to quote it by the words written in red, but a man once walked up to Jesus and said, "Jesus, what do I have to do to ensure a one-way ticket to heaven?" And he said, "Well, if you are a rich man, give to the poor, follow the laws of the land, go by the book, and worship the Father in heaven." And that man walked away from Jesus very sad, because he was a very rich man. And I would like to show you my last utility bill that the service charge out totals my electric usage. I mean, you know, when Dan was mayor and Wheatland's raised our water rate, I'm sure it was less than 50%. But yet when we went from $7.50 a month to $22.50 a month, it doesn't take a calculator to figure out that that is a 200% increase. And do you know what's the fastest growing city in Kansas? By what I've seen on the news, it's 50 miles east of here, Dodge City.
It's news to me.
I mean, you know, back in 2010, the last U.S. census, whatever they call it when they count the people, I don't know, I didn't know and didn't care who the city commissioners or the mayor or anything was back then, because life was a lot better than it is nowadays, you know. And but I did read in the paper after the Census Bureau said that Finney County and Garden City was declining in population. I do remember seeing the city commissioners and the Finney County commissioners asking the U.S. Census to do a recount, because both you and them ones from across the alley and the street over there thought they were wrong. But let me tell you what I have seen after the 200% increase in the service charge. On weekends, I have seen U-Haul vans with the husband driving the U-Haul and the wife in the pickup with all the possessions that wouldn't fit in that U-Haul headed. Well, I live on 8th Street and I observed them going south down 8th Street, you know. I mean, we've got this new city logo that I think is nice and cool, you know. And I'm pretty darn sure that it probably cost at least $150 to put it on every white vehicle's door. And, you know, is it about paid for?
Is what paid for?
The logo, the two, what got you people, I mean, during this process of going from $750 a month to $2250, I had read in the Telegram, this one lady, you ought to all know her. Her name was Karen L. Livingston. She no longer lives in Garden City. But at that time, when I was reading them articles, and she was at every city commission meeting when we were going through the process of going from what I thought was going to be $7.50 to $10, she was up here and I read it in the paper the next day. But yet, somehow, I don't know if it was like you guys just grouped up and made the decision on your own, because I thought I was only going to get a $3.50 increase in my service charge. But boy, when I got that letter with the new city logo that we were going to $22.50, you know, I gotta admit, I raised a little hell. And I mean, you know, just like when Roy was mayor and the Shulman edition and all the Menards and this mall and everything, you know, I read your article where you stated that Garden City was the best town in western Kansas to get a job and raise a family. And I don't see it, you know. Besides all them U-Hauls and people moving out of town every weekend, here's another thing that I have seen in between here and northern Mexico. When lawns went from brown or from green to brown and windows were open when it was 100 degrees outside and people moved their couches out on their front porches and were drinking beer on their front porch instead of in their living rooms because it was still 90 degrees at 11 p.m.
And where was that at?
In between here and Buffalo Jones and Walnut. I mean, I live at the Sabine House, you know, and since the new owner took over, I mean, it looks good from the outside. You know, he poured a lot of money in, 120 rose bushes. But since he took over, there hadn't been anything but Mexicans move in. And I'm not prejudiced or racist, but I am here to tell you we're not all created equal. Because if I locked myself out of my apartment, I would have called the landlord or the manager to let me in. But this new couple that come out of Colorado, one Friday night, I go out to relieve my dog at 9 o'clock on a Friday evening, and to see this girl standing at this apartment door with 2 little children. And I knew, you know, she wasn't the one that lived there. And then by the time I got down the hall, I just happened to look out the window. The landlord had left a ladder on top of what is the community room that is half underground and not even a half story tall. He left this extendable ladder on top of that community room, and I seen a Mexican climbing that ladder and witnessed him.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Oaks has a point. I've had enough.
What?
So if you have a point about city business, please make it. Otherwise, I think I've had enough.